welcome back to Sasser House, or welcome if you're new. My name is Emily Ann, and today we are going to get out in the garden and work on a project that I am so excited to start with you, and that is flower planting. So last year we had our first little baby garden and we loved it, but we did not plant any flowers at all. This year we are planting a bunch of flowers, and it's something that I have been meaning to do, but we are just getting around to it. It is mid-May here in Middle Tennessee, so I think that we are still good on our time. But I'm so excited to get these in the ground. So I have some seed packets that we will be planting, but top of the list is what is in this box right here. So last summer I sang at the Barn At Helm in Indiana. It's a flower farm there in Indiana, and I got to meet the precious folks that run it, and my band and I performed for one of their summer night concert series. And it was so much fun. It was such a blessing. And it's so neat. If you are in the Indiana area, look up the Barn At Helm, because you will definitely want to check out, first of all their flowers. Second of all, any events that they've got going on. It was so much fun. But anyways, they reached out to me and they wanted to send me some dahlias, y'all. So we have Nicholas and we have, what's the other kind that we've got? Joey Linda, I think is what this says. And what they look like, they're like little tubers. Ooh, I don't want to mess them up. I haven't gotten them out of the bag yet. But here's what they look like. They seem like they're kind of connected. Like this one is connected. So I guess that is one tuber that I plant. I think that that's true. I might text her some pictures and make sure that I'm doing it right before I do it. But we're going to get these in the ground, and she sent me specific instructions. So if you want to plant dahlias, I am learning from the best. Y'all should see her flower farm. It's absolutely beautiful. I'll add pictures. I mean, look at it. It's stunning. So I'm really excited to get those in the ground. We're going to start with that, and then we also need to re-till the garden and just do some maintenance. So we're going to get out there and get to work, because it is already almost 6 o'clock. It's 1 minute to 6, so it's basically 6 o'clock. So I'm hoping that we can get this done in an hour, but we shall see. Chris is giving me a crash course on our tiller, because he's been the one to till the whole garden, because he's afraid that I'm going to get my feet underneath there somehow and chop my leg off. But there's like a whole bar. I think I'll be fine. Okay. So if you saw our video where we started this garden, you could tell that it didn't take long for the weeds to just absolutely take back over. We've got a lot of perennial grasses growing in our backyard, and this is our first year tilling up this plot and gardening it. And so it's going to take a couple years to really defeat the weeds and to tear them down and to really crush their spirit so that they don't come back. But anyways, I'm glad we made our rows big so that we could till through the rows. Whew. Okay, that took about 30 minutes. My little hands and arms are shaking. Okay, so we got that done, and I want to show y'all what these weeds are looking like in case you can give me any guidance. We got this tilled up back in the fall, which was probably why we didn't have a ton of weeds, because it was cold out and it just wasn't like prime time for stuff to grow. And we got a lot of rain for like 2 or 3 weeks, just total downpour of rain, which is great because we haven't had to water this garden at all, and everything is looking really good. But we have these little weeds. It almost looks like, I guess it's just grass, but they're everywhere. So I tilled up the rows as much as I could, but we have, I mean, these little blades of, I guess, grass all in between our plants, and there's no way to pull all of that. So I don't know really what exactly to do about that. But I went ahead and re-tilled the rows that we never planted anything in. That way the soil would be nice and turned up for us to plant today. So this is what everything looks like in between our plants. And I don't know if this is bug damage or if this is I know this right here looks like it's been bitten off at the top. So that might be from a rabbit or something like that. So some of our green beans have taken quite the beating. If you know what any of this is, please comment down below and let us know. But that looks like bites taken out of this stuff. So I'll probably have to figure out something to do. But thankfully we have an entire big old long row of green beans, and I'm thinking about in a couple of weeks planting out another row of green beans down that path. But this is what is growing all over our garden. And I mean, I'm assuming that it's just like grass. It pulls up really easy, but as you can see, I mean, there's like so much of it. I guess I could get out here with a hoe and chop it all down, but it's just everywhere. As you can see, like there's just huge patches of it, and it's growing in between all of our plants. But all in all, to give you an update on how everything is looking, our row of green beans is looking pretty good. We also over here have our row of all of our squash, and these seeds sprouted up great. I've already gone through and thinned them, and I think I'm gonna have to thin them a little bit more. I think some other ones sprouted up after I thinned them for the first time, but it looks like we had really, really great germination and everything sprouted up really well. I didn't soak my seeds or do anything like that. I just put them in the ground and watered them in and left them, and they came right up. Then back here, our pumpkins are looking really good. You can see those sprouted up in the midst of all of this grass. But see right here is a plant that is sprouted up in between these two, and there's another one real close to it right here. So I'll definitely have to go through and thin out some of these. But like I said, if anyone has any tips on what I should be doing in between these plants to get rid of all of this kind of grass that has sprouted up, please let me know. I really hope y'all don't say I got to get out here with a hoe, because we planted a massive garden and I work a more than full-time job. Okay, so also I wanted to give you an update on our tomato plants. I hope that this will be an encouragement to folks that want to start seeds indoors but don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money to do so. Sorry, I'm just stopping and pulling weeds as I see them. I am so thankful and impressed. I'm actually kind of amazed at how well the tomato plants look that we started together inside back in, I guess January is when we started those. They look better than the tomato plants that I got from the co-op here where we live. And it just blows my mind, because here on YouTube you see like so many people saying that you need all this fancy equipment and, you know, fancy grow lights and to spend all this money to grow seeds indoors. And we just didn't want to do that, and it really just wasn't in our budget this year. And so we started them on a $25 heat mat that I got from Amazon, and I'll link that down below. And then I got some grow lights off of Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks that were not that good. And Chris decided to move them to a window inside. And I had heard people say that that wasn't, you know, enough light to move them to a window. But I want you guys to look at these tomato plants. These are all the plants that we started indoors, and now that I'm getting up close, I can see we definitely have some critters munching on our plants. So we're gonna have to figure out something to do there. I can see right here where this has been snapped off, and right here I'm seeing another one that has been eaten down here. But all in all, I mean, look at that. That looks like a pretty healthy tomato plant right there. And we have got a full row of plants that we all started from seed together all those months back. And so that makes me so happy. And then down here are the plants that I got at the co-op. And these look great too, but I don't think they look like insanely better than the ones that we started together. So we have our T-posts up. We still need to get these trellised. So that will be a project that we do together here soon. But I know I'm gonna run out of daylight soon, and I really need to get these flowers in the ground. Okay, so I've written out our instructions, and all we've gotta do is dig a hole or trench 4 to 5 inches deep. And then we are gonna put a 1/4 cup of bone meal in the bottom of the hole that we dig. I think I'll do mine in a hole, and I think I'm gonna I have to Google. She didn't tell me like how close or far apart they needed to be planted. So I'm gonna Google that next. And then it says place the tuber. Oh gosh, I don't want that to pull off. I about pulled that stalk off. Oh, my little hands are shaking from using that tiller. With the stalk facing upwards and any new growth pointing upwards. And you can see right there that there's a little bit of new growth. That's embarrassing how bad I'm shaking. Okay. It's okay. We're all family here. Okay, let's just shake that out. Anyways, that is how we're going to plant them. And then we cover them with dirt until they are 2 inches under the surface. We do not water these. And if we are getting any heavy rain, we need to cover them with a plastic tarp. I am really, really praying that we won't get heavy rain until, you don't want to plant them until you see green poking through the growth. She didn't tell me how long that would take. But we are going to have, also, your soil has to be dry when you plant. And so ours is good and dry. And we're not supposed to get rain until Thursday. And it's just a chance of rain. So I'm really hoping the rain holds off. So before I put our dahlias in the ground, I went through with a rake just to reform our original row. You can see at the very back of this row a little green patch, and that's where we planted our corn. But other than that, this row has not been planted out at all, so I'm really excited to get these flowers in the ground. Okay, so I read online that these need to be planted 12 to 18 inches apart. I'm just going to do 12 because I want to plant a bunch of them. And I'm going to start right here on this edge. So I'm going to dig a hole that's about 4 to 5 inches in the dirt. And I'm not gonna cover these yet. That way I can track myself and I won't lose my spot. If I were to cover that up and start going, sometimes you can lose your spot. So I'm just gonna dig the hole, and I think that's probably 4 to 5 inches. Okay, so I'm gonna get a 1/4 cup of this bone meal in the bottom of the hole. And then I am going to plant the little tuber down in the hole. I hope I made my hole wide enough. I don't think I did. These are kind of wide. I reckon that's good. Okay, so we're just going to repeat this by planting all this down. I'm thinking this is the stem, and this is some of the new growth. So we're just going to put that right down in there and go down the line. All right, y'all, we got this row planted all the way down to that little stake in the ground. I'm sure you can't see it from here, but I went ahead and marked my spot. That way I knew where I could plant more stuff. And tomorrow we'll get out here and plant more of our seeds. I know I want to plant some sunflowers and some stuff like that. And so we ran out of time tonight, but at least we got all these dahlias in the ground. Good morning, friends. It is the next day, and I am going to plant some of our sunflower seeds. I really need something, like, I need to bring something out here that I can set stuff in, because when it's early like this, there's like dew on the ground, and I don't want to put my seed packets somewhere where they're going to get wet. I'm going to put it in our little carrot bed, because that's kind of dry. Also, speaking of carrots, this is what our carrot bed looks like. You can see that the germination is kind of like sporadic. Some of them look like they're growing pretty good. I'm not going to thin any of them because honestly there's not like that many growing. So I'm just going to leave it. I have 2 carrot beds that I planted out because I wanted a lot of carrots. I didn't have great luck with them. There are some that are sprouting up, but not that much. So anyways, here's what I want to get tackled this morning. So we planted out all of these potatoes together. Those are our 2 full potato beds, and then this is our potato bed that has just half of the bed planted out in potatoes, but we've got this other half that's all empty. It's growing weeds. We got to get these weeds out. But what I want to do is go ahead and plant some herbs in the rest of this bed. So I was looking at this morning companion plants for potatoes, and bunch of companion plants or herbs, and I have not planted any herbs in the garden yet, and I want to get some herbs planted. Last night we got our dahlias in the ground, and I looked up online that they take anywhere from 1 to 5 weeks to sprout up, which stresses me out a little bit because they're not supposed to get wet. They can't handle like a downpour of rain, and the lady who sent them to me said that she covers hers with plastic until they sprout up out of the ground. But I really don't want to have to get out here and cover them with plastic. But I will if I must. So we will see how those do. But this morning, what I want to plant are some of our other flowers. I'll show you what we've got. So these are the flowers that I want to direct. So we have some calendulas, some zinnias, these straw flowers. We have a rose and a vintage white in the straw flower. We have some cosmos, some more zinnias, and then some sunflowers. We don't have a ton of room left in the garden, but we've got a little bit of room. And what I'm trying to decide is if I want to kind of go down and form a new row over here, but I just don't know if that's going to be too close to the edge where the weeds are going to be insane. But I want to make the most of our space and get as many flowers as we can. So I know for now I want to plant the sunflowers back next to the corn at the end of this row right here. So let's do that first. So I was able to re-till this up yesterday because we never planted anything here, and I thought that it would be better to till this up for when it was time to plant. So I'm gonna go through and just mound up this row. I have got to get out here and figure out what to do about all this grass growing up in between all my plants. Last year we put straw down and grass just grew through it. So I know some people say that they mulch stuff to keep the weeds at bay. But man, I mean, it's just a full grass patch. You can see there in our corn. I don't know, I can't physically pull all that, so it's okay, we'll figure that out later. Let's get our sunflowers in the ground. This is just a seed packet that I got for 50 cents at Walmart. So I'm excited to see how they do. It says seed directly into the garden when plants are 2 inches tall, thin to 8 inches apart. Later thin plants to 12 to 18 inches apart to prevent crowding. Remove weeds and water regularly. These need to sow 1 inch deep, and seed spacing is 4 to 6 inches. I hate thinning plants because I feel like I'm killing them. So I'm gonna just make a little hole right there, pour these out into my hand and drop a seed in there. I think I'm gonna try to go ahead and do these 12 inches apart. And I can always come back with something else and sow other stuff in here if they don't germinate. I'm gonna go back through with just the few extras that I have and drop 1 extra seed in each hole. And then that way, I've got a good chance of something germinating in each hole down the row. All right, so we have that done. I am going to just cover this up with soil. Now we're just gonna hop right over here, and I'm gonna do the same thing that I did over there, where I'm just gonna try and form my row. So out here I want to plant our zinnias. I have 2 packets of zinnias. I have this mixed color variety that I got at Home Depot for $1.99, and then I have some that I ordered from In My Gardener, which I think are just like a pale white color. So what we want to do says to space these 6 to 8 inches and just plant them 1/4 inch deep into the soil. Let me make sure this other one says the same thing. I'm also slightly afraid. I know that like with vegetables, you don't have to water them every day. You can let the rain water them, and that's what we're doing. But with flowers, people say they water their flowers every day. So I'm hoping that I won't regret planting these all the way at the end of the garden, furthest from the house. But this is the only space I have left. So next year I might plant all my flowers at the front of the garden and the veggies at the back. But this year, this is what we're doing. So I'm just going to drop a couple every 12 inches. I'm going to stop there with the Isabella zinnias from In My Gardener, because I want to make sure that I have enough room to plant plenty of the colorful ones as well. So I'm going to put these in the bag. This says that these are container friendly, so I might plant them somewhere else. Or maybe I'll do some to the side of the house in our mulch beds. I don't know. But I just want to make sure that I've got room to do some of these as well. So there's the last ones that we put down. Pull out some of these weeds where I can. It's right there. Let's come right over here. I'm just placing 2 every 12 inches. That way, hopefully I have a better chance of germination. All right, so we have a handful of these left as well. I'm just gonna slide those back into my seed packet and we'll do something else with them. Now to cover these, since they only need a 1/4 inch of dirt over top of them, I'm literally just going to barely press them into the dirt. Just kind of shimmy them down in there. So if you were with me when we started our seeds indoors a couple months back, I used this Jiffy natural and organic seed starting mix that I just got at Walmart, and I ended up only using 1 bag of it to start all of our seeds. I think that filled up 3 trays, and I thought, oh, I'll just save this for next year, but it looks like we're going to be using it before then, which is fine. This was really affordable. So what it tells you to do is mix this, like pre-moisten it with water. I'm going to attempt to do that just right here in the bag. I don't see why I can't. All right, let's see what that does. Is it leaking out the bag? I don't think it is. I remember this taking a lot more water than I thought that it would to moisten this soil. Yeah, that didn't do anything. Oh, the only thing that I just thought about is I'm moistening all of this and I'm not going to use it all. That was not very smart. Okay. Well, maybe I'll start the rest of our flowers in seed cells. I didn't necessarily want to do that, but maybe that's the smartest thing to do since I don't know exactly where to put them in the garden right now. All right. That is good and moist. So now what we're going to do, make sure this doesn't have a whole lot of standing water in it, is, well, I guess I'll just get handfuls. Fill up these cells. There we go. And we don't really have to even plant these. These literally just sprinkle right across on top of the soil. It just says you sow them right on the surface. So, ooh, these seeds are teensy. Holy moly. Oh my goodness, this is crazy how tiny these little seeds are. And since my fingers are wet, they're sticking to my fingers. Okay, y'all, I am crazy. I forgot that I had a radio interview for a show that I'm doing in East Tennessee. And my alarm went off when I was sowing the seeds. of our straw flowers. And I had to hurry, run inside, throw on a little bit of mascara, and go. And now I can't find my shoes. Okay, they're over here. I got my interview done, and I have got to go shower soon because I am riding today in Nashville. And so, anyways, I am headed back out to the garden. I don't know if we're going to get everything done that I wanted to get done. I'm trying to decide what to do. I looked up cosmos, the size of those, and those get about 2 foot tall. Now these calendulas right here, these are beautiful. They almost look like a marigold. These don't get too tall. They get about 1 foot tall. And so I'm wondering, should I just plant these in the garden? Should I save these? I think what I'm gonna do, because I've already got that seed starting mix out and wet, is I'm gonna get all of these onions right here planted in the potato bed that has extra space in it right over here. I'm not gonna do the herbs in here. I'm gonna do these onions in this potato bed and see how they do. And then I'm gonna fill that tray up with the rest of this seed starting mix. And I think I'm gonna do my cosmos in that seed starting tray. I think that's what we're gonna do. We have these onions that we started from seed, and I didn't know how they would do. Oh, I've got these doubled up in here. There we go. I didn't know how they would do, and that's why I ended up buying those onion starts that we've planted in the other bed. But some of these look like they're growing okay. So I'm like, what do we have to lose? Let's just get them in this bed. Go ahead and pull up some of the weeds that I can grab. So these come out of here real easily, and I know that you're not supposed to bury the head of that little onion. So what I'm gonna do is just leave that like that, and just put it right down there into the soil. I will be eager to see if we get onions out of these and which one works better. I really think the ones that I bought from the store are gonna be more fruitful, but you never know. So we've got those in, and we've got just a few more. I'm gonna take these over to our other onion bed and get them planted in there. All right, I'm just gonna dump this out, and we'll take this up and fill it with some soil. I'm gonna get these down here out in the sunshine. So we have a whole tray of straw flowers, a whole tray of calendulas, and then 4, 8, 12, 16 little cells of cosmos. We have a lot of cosmos left, but I'm out of time. The last thing we had to do was water in all those onions that we transplanted, and then fill up our water jug and head out into the garden to water in the sunflowers and the zinnias that we started. Y'all, these are already popping up, and I can't wait to show you the process. Be sure to like and subscribe if you liked this video, because we have so much more gardening content coming all season long. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.